Hey folks, Captain Mike here from Hoagie Lure Company. Today's how-to is sea bass fishing. Now, I'm out here today, and as always, I have my Hoagie mesh crate, and I keep 3 roll-up pouches on standby for all my ground fishing, from tautog all the way up to fluke, and today it's sea bass. So I've got 3 roll-ups, 2 jigs, and 1 type of teasers. Now, we'll start with the lightest ones. These are the Groundfish Biki jigs. Now, these are my short game, shallow water jigs, slack tide jigs. I'm gonna thump these on the bottom. Now, my second roll up is holding my Squinno jigs. These range from 1 3/4 all the way up to 8.5 ounces. And these are obviously better suited for deeper water. This is a flutter style jig, a little more motion, whereas the Biki jig was thumping on the bottom. These are gonna give you a little more range off the bottom. Now, these have a teaser assist hook, whereas the Biki Groundfish jigs have a fixed jig hook. A lot of folks will put crabs on those and use that as a premium tog jig. And then the platform here, I have my teaser bag. I have some squid teasers up top, but I have the Groundfish Biki teasers. I'll fish this in front of either a Squinno jig or a Groundfish Biki jig. Now, no matter which Groundfish jig I'm starting with, I'm always gonna have the Biki teaser rig on top of it. And this will, add to my presentation. I have a very crustalicious presentation. You'll notice when you clean these fish, there's a lot of crabs in their bellies. So you'll notice a lot of olives and pinks and greens in the whole Hoagie groundfish system. Let's get to it. So I'm rigged up. Now, we're in 45 feet of water, and the wind and the tide are moving together. So I opted to go with the 3.5 ounce Hoagie Squinno jig. So obviously depth, wind, and tide, and the directionality of everything sort of dictates how much weight you need to get down. But in 45 feet, even in a knot and a half of current with a 10-mile-an-hour breeze the same way, we should have no problem holding bottom. We've got a lot of attraction. We've got the Biki teasers, the matching Biki assist hook, a complete little system. We're targeting sea bass and large scup today, but this same rig works for fluke. This is my go-to fluke rig as well. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and get one of those today as well. Now, this is an unnamed spot, and you find spots like this just by looking, well, in my case, my Garmin chart. You see a little arcade or rocks or humps or whatever, and I sniff around and I find my own spots. What I don't like is fishing in a fleet. Oftentimes that means less good fishing too. So found this spot, I want to say by luck and by search, just by sort of hopping around, but you can always find your own groundfish spots. That's why I love ground fishing so much. We've got no bait, it's tactical. We're searching and dropping. I'm going over, this is sort of a rocky bottom. I'm marking great fish on the fish finder. So I'm gonna set up. I'm learning how the drifts are gonna work today. We got wind and tide together. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna start east, drift west, and when I stop catching fish, simple, I'm gonna pick up, move, and make the drift again. So no bait. My clean boat OCD is still intact, alive and well. I'm gonna send this down. So again, this is a 3.5 ounce Squinno jig. I'm just using my medium heavy inshore 7-foot spinning rod. You can even have used the medium rod, but here I just grabbed the 7 medium heavy. I'm just sending to the bottom. Now, this is a Squinno jig. It's just sort of a slow pitch style jig. And just gonna flutter that jig, and remember, you've got those teasers above the jig, and then you have the assist hook. So to jig it, just a real slow lift and drop. I just had a hit on that one. And start a little ahead of where we were marking the fish, but we'll drift into it. Now, this one I can tell is a scup by how much that rod tip is bouncing when I bring up. And that's a good size scup. We are targeting bigger, so even though this guy's legal, those thicker fillets. So there's 3 ways you can fish a Squinno jig. One is you can just dead stick it on the bottom, and so you have your teasers just bouncing around, and oftentimes that's the retrieve. and they're getting action from the Squinno jig bouncing on the bottom. Now, the second retrieve I like is sort of a variation of a slow pitch, where you lift the rod tip up slowly, come down slowly, had a hit on that, and just a slow rise and fall of the tip. So that jig's coming up, and then it has a flutter on the drop. And then a lot of times I hit it on the drop like that. You want to pay attention to the fall. It's a subtle hit, and that's how we got this guy. He was like a decent fish. There we go. This is what we're looking for. That is a sea bass. And a little one. So you can see they've been wanting the teasers today. You're gonna get this little guy going. Get that guy going. But this is the one we want for the dinner table. Now that's a beauty. So the third retrieve is a twitch jig retrieve, where you're just twitching it. You're making those teasers come alive and creating all kinds of commotion. This is good if you're marking fish but they're just not eating. So I'll do a twitch jig, then I'll let it to the bottom, twitch jig. Then you can do a variation of all three. So I could put it on the bottom, dead stick it, letting the teasers just bounce with the Squinno bouncing on the bottom and the teasers dancing, and do a slow rise and fall, paying attention to the drop. They usually hit it on the drop. And then the third one, just a twitch jig. So 3 ways on how you can fish the Squinno with a Jig Biki teaser rig. So the tide slacked off quite a bit, and so is the wind. And so we're having a much easier time holding bottom. We're gonna downshift to the Groundfish Biki jig and just thump this on the bottom, see if we can tease up these finicky sea bass. It's a much more delicate presentation than the Squinno jig, which really has its place as slack tide. I'm just thumping the bottom. There we go, got that guy. Now they're definitely getting more finicky, but we're still fishing through the slack tide. Obviously double headers. These aren't the biggest of the day, but bent rods, off to the races. And there you have it. Shallow water, short game, Groundfish Biki jig, a little more current, a little deeper, Squinno, teasers in front. You can catch any groundfish anywhere in the world with these and no bait.